My girlfriend will be a Hollywood star. I first saw her in an indie film, Clara Voss. She wasn't a household name yet, but she would be. I could tell. There was something about her. The way she lit up the screen, the way she made you feel every word she said. She wasn't like the others. She was real, raw, unpolished in the best way. I couldn't look away. It started innocently enough. I followed her on social media, watched every interview, every short film, every behind-the-scenes clip. She was still an up-and-comer, which made her feel more accessible. She didn't have the entourage or the bodyguards yet. She still went to coffee shops alone, still took the subway, and still lived in a modest apartment in Brooklyn. She was normal, she was human, and that made her even more perfect. At first it was just admiration. I'd tell myself, everyone has a favorite actor. But then I noticed things. The way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was nervous. The way she laughed too loudly at her own jokes. The way she always wore the same silver bracelet, a gift from her grandmother she'd mentioned in an interview. These details felt like secrets meant only for me. I began to feel chosen, like she was speaking to me through the screen. It wasn't enough. I needed to be closer. I found her apartment. It wasn't hard. She'd posted a photo of her street on Instagram, and I recognized the brick facade from one of her interviews. I told myself I just wanted to see where she lived, to feel connected to her. But when I stood outside her building, my heart pounding, I realized I wanted more. I needed to see her, to breathe the same air. The first time I saw her in person was at a coffee shop near her apartment. She was sitting by the window typing on her laptop, her hair pulled into a messy bun. She looked ordinary, beautiful but ordinary. I sat at a table across the room pretending to read a book. I watched her for an hour, the way she sipped her tea, the way she chewed on her pen when she was thinking, the way she smiled at the barista who refilled her cup. I felt alive in a way I never had before. That's when the dreams started. Vivid, surreal dreams where she'd talk to me, laugh with me, tell me things she'd never tell anyone else. I'd wake up with my heart racing, the echo of her voice in my ears. It felt real. It was real. She was becoming a part of me. I started leaving her gifts. Nothing intrusive, just small tokens of my admiration. A single daisy on her doorstep. A handwritten note slipped under her door. "You inspire me," I wrote. "Thank you for existing." I knew she'd appreciate the sentiment. She had to. But then I saw the headlines. Clara Voss speaks out about stalker fears. My heart sank. She wasn't grateful. She was scared of me. I felt a pang of guilt, but it was quickly overshadowed by confusion. How could she not see how much I cared? How much I understood her? I wasn't like the others. I wasn't dangerous. I just loved her, deeply, passionately. I needed to make her understand. I am almost too ashamed to admit it, but one night I hired an escort. It wasn't something I'd ever considered before, but the loneliness was becoming unbearable. I spent weeks searching for the right one, someone who looked like her, not just vaguely similar, but her. The same shade of brown hair, the same wide expressive eyes, the same soft smile. When I finally found her, it was like staring into a distorted mirror. She wasn't Clara, of course, but she was close enough. We met at a hotel. I asked her to wear a specific sweater, one I'd seen Clara in during an Instagram post. She said that role-playing costs extra. I even brought a book Clara had mentioned loving. She played along. She was kind and accommodating. I made her tell me that she loved me, that she'd never leave me, but it wasn't enough. She didn't feel like Clara. Her voice was wrong, her mannerisms off. I left feeling emptier than before. Then I saw the photos. Clara and him, name redacted. Some guy from her new film, all smirks and perfectly tousled hair. They were holding hands and laughing, their faces inches apart. The headlines were relentless. Clara Voss's new romance, Hollywood's hottest new couple. I felt like the world had tilted on its axis. How could she do this? How could she not see that he was the problem, not me? He didn't understand her like I did. He didn't deserve her. But then it hit me. This wasn't real. It couldn't be. Clara was playing hard to get. She was testing me. She wanted to see how far I'd go, how much I cared. She was pushing me to prove my love. And I did. I started following him instead. I learned his routines and habits. He was careless, arrogant. He didn't deserve her. He didn't deserve to breathe the same air as her. I began to fantasize about what it would feel like to hurt him, not to kill him. No, that would be too easy. I wanted him to suffer. I wanted him to know what it felt like to be unwanted, unloved. One night, I broke into his apartment. He wasn't home, but I left a message. I slashed his favorite leather jacket, the one he always wore in interviews. I wrote on his mirror in red lipstick that probably belonged to her. Stay away from her. I knew he'd call the police, but I didn't care. Let him. Let them all see how far I was willing to go. Clara started posting less online. She canceled public appearances. I knew it was because of me. She was scared, yes, but she was also thinking about me. I could feel it. She was starting to understand. She was starting to see. True love really can be scary when you experience it for the first time. I broke into her apartment again last night. She wasn't there, probably staying at a friend's place or a hotel. I didn't mind. I left another photograph on her nightstand, this one of her and him. I had altered it so that his face was scratched out, replaced with mine. I wrote on the back, "You don't need him. You have me." And now here I am, in his apartment. He's tied up in the corner, his head lolling to one side. I'll wake him soon. I need him to understand, just like Clara will. This isn't about hate, it's about love. Love that's pure, unyielding, eternal. Clara and I are meant to be, and redacted? He's just a stepping stone, a lesson, a story to tell our children someday. I've been going through his phone. Clara's coming over tonight. I saw the texts. She's worried about him. She thinks something's wrong. Little does she know, everything is about to go so right. Tonight will be our first date. I've got everything planned, candles, music, a bottle of wine, her favorite, a Pinot Noir she mentioned in an interview once. I even have a ring in my pocket, just in case things go really well. I know it might seem rushed, but true love waits for no one. And Clara, she's been waiting for me her whole life, even if she doesn't know it yet. I'll make her understand. I'll make them all understand. This is just the beginning of something beautiful. Clara and I, our story, will be told for generations. Our children, our grandchildren. They'll want to know how it all began, how love conquered everything, even fear.